Gaza's health ministry says that at least 20 people were killed and over 155 were injured by Israeli shelling as they were waiting for delivery of food at an area where food trucks often congregate. Now, the Israeli government denies these claims, and we're going to get to their statements, but bear in mind that those numbers are, of course, preliminary. Victims are still being moved from the site of the massacre to hospitals in the area, and it's expected that they could move up. And also, while we're talking about the different explanations for this, and you're absorbing the fact that so many people have died just waiting for food, bear in mind that at least 500,000 people are on the brink of famine in Gaza, a famine that we've been talking about on the show for several weeks. Very, very little aid or food has gotten in the meantime, meaning that the situation, which was already devastating, is growing worse with every passing day. Now, blame for the massacre and for the deaths depends on who you ask. The IDF said that a preliminary review found that Israeli forces, quote, did not open fire at the aid convoy in Kuwait Square, instead claiming that, quote, armed Palestinians opened fire while Gazan civilians were awaiting the arrival of the aid convoy. As aid trucks were entering, they continued to shoot as the crowd of Gazans began looting the trucks. Additionally, a number of Gazan civilians were run over by the trucks. Of course, this calls to mind the flour massacre of not too many weeks ago. Now, that's what the IDF says. The Ministry of Health in Gaza described the attack as a premeditated massacre. They said the incident was a result of the Israeli occupation forces targeting a gathering of citizens waiting for humanitarian aid to satisfy their thirst at the Kuwaiti roundabout in Gaza. Many of those who experienced the attack are giving interviews about the experience. One individual who went to Al Shifa Hospital said, "We were sitting there and there was nothing. Suddenly they bombarded us with shells. There are a lot of martyrs and injuries. We were there to bring food for our children." And to add some context to this particular location where the attack happened, the Kuwaiti roundabout, was the site of this massacre yesterday. It was also the site of a very similar massacre the day before that. And for the same reason, it's a common place for the trucks to gather. It's a place where you can expect that food might be delivered. And so Wednesday, 7 people were killed, 86 injured. Today, several times that. And I just want you to think about the fact that on Wednesday, people were so desperate for food that they went to a place, sort of a similar sort of site to where the flour massacre happened, and many people died as a result. And then one day later, people went to that same place for food because what else are they supposed to do? You went to a place where people were just massacred. There's blood on the streets already, and there's a worse massacre. And then I want you to ask yourself the question, what are people gonna do tomorrow? Are they not gonna go to the same place? I mean, they know that people are being massacred every day that they go there, but what are you supposed to do? You're starving, your family is starving, they've been starving for weeks. You know there's a good chance that you could die or be shot or shelled if you go there, and yet many will do that. Apparently, according to the government media office in Gaza, at least 400 people have been killed just in incidents like this. Gatherings of civilians trying to get aid. And honestly, we have to put it in the context of the larger conflict. This sort of thing happening in another conflict would almost stand out more because you'd have people dying as a result of the war and then innocent civilians being killed. But we also have to bear in mind that civilians are dying at a far faster rate than basically any world conflict for many years. The killing of civilians is already so utterly indiscriminate that I honestly think that we have to bear that in mind in terms of how we attribute blame, but also understand the people that are going to these places. The death of civilians is just such a constant, whether you stay at home, whether you go for aid, that it's difficult to even conceive of how you live in those circumstances.
Yeah.
Apologies, what do you think?
So first of all, Israel's denying it, saying, oh, it was the Hamas. Okay, so that's what they say every single time. They're the boy who cried wolf. I don't, in this particular case, there's not enough evidence yet to know for sure that they're lying, except for every other time where they've been lying and proven so afterwards. And it doesn't really matter, and I'll tell you why it doesn't matter. This is not only did the flour massacre happen, well, 112 people died, all those hundreds of people injured, etc. Similar situation, obviously, but there's been shootings by the IDF at places where Palestinians were getting humanitarian relief 22 times. So don't tell me, oh, I didn't do the 23rd one. I did 22 others. Killed 8 that time, I killed 12 that time, I killed 112 the other time. Why are you shooting at people desperately trying to get food who are starving? Why are you shooting at them from drones? Why are you shooting at them from tanks? So it doesn't matter at all. Israel is 100% responsible in these situations. You know why we wouldn't have had anybody die in that situation if it wasn't for Israel? Because they wouldn't have been starving in the first place, and they wouldn't have had to go and desperately try to get food for their family. So look, once you see the CNN video that we've now shown you a couple of times of the babies that are and the children that are starving to death, and they look like Holocaust victims, they look exactly like them, and nothing else matters. Right now, the Israeli cabinet is starving over 500,000 people to death. There is no excuse for that under any circumstances. There's no defense of it. There's no nothing of it. And for God's sake, if you're a good person, don't defend it, because it makes you look awful, like you have no heart at all, and you just think that those are what, cattle, dogs? I don't know. I mean, honestly, if Israel was doing this to dogs, America would have already revolted, and we would not be sending them money. Let's be honest, and it's heartbreaking. It's absolutely heartbreaking. But if you saw dogs starving, if the American people saw dogs starving like that and then slaughtered every once in a while, IDF just opens fire and murders 112 dogs, America would have pulled its funding. You know it. You know it. If we had video of it, you know we would have pulled the funding. But they're Palestinians. So, look, Israel has utterly destroyed its reputation in the world. It is now loathed by universally. What a terrible, disastrous strategy. I know, look, I can't speak to people who support the right-wing government of Israel rationally anymore. They've lost complete touch with reality. And they're out in outer space going, oh, we got this. We've almost won. This is winning? Where everybody in the world thinks you're monsters now? Okay, so those folks, they're never gonna care about Palestinians. They don't care. They don't care that they're being slaughtered and starved and all that stuff. So I can't talk to them about Palestinians because they don't emotionally connect about them. So let me talk about Israel. Under what scenario does this help Israel? You get, like the supporters of Netanyahu and this right-wing government, you've lost your minds. You're absolutely deranged. This is the worst thing that could possibly happen to Israel. Hamas couldn't destroy Israel. They wouldn't even have a chance. The worst they could do was October 7th, and it was brutal and terrible. But at that point, Israel had all the world's sympathy and empathy. But Netanyahu has managed to destroy the reputation and the standing of Israel in the world. So for those of you who are still deranged and can't see straight, as a friend and ally, I'm telling you right now, you have to turn around. You have to turn around right now. I don't know if Israel can ever recover from this, but if you're gonna recover, you gotta turn around now. What happens if, you know that just yesterday, 21 children starved to death? What happens if 158,000 people starve to death? Are you guys crazy? Have you lost your goddamn minds? Not only are you doing this to the Palestinians, you've totally destroyed what anyone thinks of Israel. Good luck trying to get anybody to think anything positively about Israel now. What are you gonna get, tourism? Oh, come see us starve children to death. Are you insane? What are you doing? What are you doing? But I'm deeply concerned, and I don't care what anybody says, I'm gonna tell you the truth. I'm deeply concerned for my Jewish friends. Because what do you think people are gonna think, you idiots, you idiots? What do you think people are gonna think? Do you have any idea the amount of anti-Semitic tropes that exist in the world? Number one being, forget them, I don't even wanna list them. I don't wanna list them. And now here comes this monstrous moron, Netanyahu, who's like, hey, I'll give these guys fodder. Here, watch me kill kids. Oh, what are you doing? What are you doing? You're gonna get people killed all across the world, you idiot. If you can't see that Israel has to turn around this goddamn second, you've lost your mind, period. Mondale.
Yeah, I mean, it's a short list of days in my life that I've ever agreed with the South African government. But when they say we need to be bringing up human violations, human rights violations against Israel, I'm right in line with that. When are we going to put IDF in the same place we put those responsible for the genocide in Rwanda? Because what's happening in Gaza is nearing those numbers. When you talk about 500,000 people at threat of being starving to death, those numbers will trump what happened in Rwanda. So I am amazed at how quick the Western world was to call out that African nation for all of the horrors that it did to those people, but are silent while Benjamin Netanyahu's government is doing the exact same thing on everybody's TV. Because we have way more technology and we're seeing it. You cannot deny the fact that those kids' bones are showing that Jenkins talking about. We saw those 7-year-olds, those 3-year-olds. The list of babies that have been murdered under the age of 2 will take you more than an hour just to say their name. Jeez. This is not a game. That what is happening, that government in Israel right now is a terrorist organization, and not naming them as that is all of us doing a disservice to everybody who's already died and will continue to die as they try to get food to prevent them and their children from dying.
If you enjoyed this video, that's because of our members. They make us independent, they make us strong, and they make us honest. Become a member today by hitting the join button below.